tonight. And we really need to thank our musicians, Ed and Karen Pettit. We also need to thank the next person who's going to entertain you, our poet Ben Myers from Oklahoma Baptist University. So let's give him a round of applause. We also need to thank all of the people who donated the pie and ice cream, which include Aramark at St. Gregory's University, Chicago Street Deli, Dave's Donuts, Golden Corral, Van's Pig Stand, Benedict's Place, and the Cracker Barrel. So please make sure you patronize all those places and thank them for helping out the museum. Mostly I want to thank all of you for being members of the Maybe-Guerre Museum. Some of you are newer members, some of you have been members for a long time, even as long as the museum has had a membership program. We hope to increase your number this year, and we hope you will help with that. If you know people that would have an interest in being members, in supporting the museum, bring them here, show them around, encourage them to join. We have membership brochures. We had a new one done this year that's absolutely beautiful, so feel free to take copies and hand it out. We hope it'll be a very easy sell to get people to be members. As most of you know, in this economy, times are tough. We've had to be very frugal this coming year with all of our expenses, including our exhibits. But I'm still happy to tell you we have a very exciting exhibit schedule coming up. The next exhibit after this wonderful exhibit of weapons and armor is called Andean Dreamers. It's an exhibit of pre-Columbian Incan textiles. Very rare and very unique. It's rare that you get to see many of them in museums because they're typically not displayed for long periods of time because they're so delicate. And then we have a wonderful contemporary artist from Texas named Billy Hassel who does these wild and whimsical animal and nature images. And it'll be a retrospective of his work, which will be one of the first. And he's actually working with an exhibit designer and with Daniel to do some video stuff and all sorts of really cool things for that exhibit. And then we have an exhibit of Rembrandt etchings, which is really cool. The exhibit is called Rembrandt Etchings, States, Fakes, and Frauds. So it will be a very educational exhibit. It will talk about the history of Rembrandt's etchings, how they've been restruck over the years, what the different states are, and even the frauds that show up on the market that are really hard to tell apart. And then an exhibit called Past to the Present, Prehistoric Casa Grande Pottery and Contemporary Mata Ortiz Pottery. It'll compare the pottery of the contemporary Mata Ortiz native people just across the border in Mexico with their ancestors in the Casa Grande Pueblo in the United States. And it's the first exhibit to compare these two styles of pottery. The Mata Ortiz people, about 20 years ago, very poor. They don't live in a Pueblo anymore, but they are a Puebloan culture. And they started doing some of the same things that American Pueblo Indians did in the early 20th century. They would look at prehistoric pottery fragments from their ancestors, the Casa Grande, and they would start making pots based on that. And if you're lucky enough to go through Mata Ortiz 15 years ago, you could get a pot for $50 that now is worth several $1,000s. And they kept expanding and challenging each other. This whole village makes pottery now. And there's a whole festival that the Mexican government has been very supportive of them. And now they do this wild, lovely, beautiful pottery that incorporates some of those ancient designs, but has gone so far beyond them in technique and style. It's just amazing. So that'll be a very exciting exhibit to kind of finish out our year. So be sure to come and see all those. We have free admission this summer. We still need our members. You get free admission all year long. But I am happy to report that because of the sponsorship for admission and because of the weapons exhibit, and because it's really hot outside and it's cool in here, attendance for the summer has more than tripled. At the end of this summer, in the last calendar year, we will have worked with over 10,000 K-12 students. 2 years ago, that number was 3,400. So 10,000 is really amazing. And the mean number of students that go to any museum in the United States is 3,900, according to the American Association of Museums. So that's a lot for a museum in our budget category. And that's all of the staff. They're here can raise their hands. Board members here, if they could, Chris is sneaking away with us. A couple others. Paul Hammonds is here. Paul is the board chairperson for the year. He's the Dean of Students at Oklahoma Baptist University, and for those of you that don't know, we do a lot of work with both universities here in town. They're very supportive of the museum. We try to get interns from both places. They do class projects with us here. So Paul has been involved for several years, and we finally convinced him that it'd be worth a little extra of his time to help us even more, so we're very glad he's here. If there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. I'll be walking around later. Be sure to see the weapons exhibit. We also, in the permanent collection gallery, have made a few changes. You'll see new exhibit in the Works on Paper section of the gallery. And also we made some changes in our Oriental gallery. We brought out a few Chinese things that hadn't been seen before, or rarely been seen, based upon research that was conducted by Dr. Trudy Kwame, who's the Director of Research at the Arthur M. Sackler Foundation. And then we have 4 pieces on long-term loan from the Arthur M. Sackler Foundation, 3 prehistoric Chinese bronze vessels, and a 30-inch high Tang Dynasty Bactrian camel, which is absolutely wonderful. It's the funniest thing you're ever going to see back there. And the Sackler Foundation loans their collection to museums like the Smithsonian, like the Metropolitan Museum, Vassar College, and so we're very proud to have a few of their items here. And it was because they were so impressed when their Director of Research came that they decided they had some things that would help round out our exhibit. So now we can compare the ancient Chinese burial practices with those of the ancient Egyptians, because they had some very similar beliefs in taking things with them in the grave that they might need in the afterlife. So it's a lot of fun. So I want to thank you all for coming. Enjoy the pie.